What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I want to talk about what's going on with Tesla stock and a couple more tickers out there. I'm going to break down what happened with Tesla's earnings because we're actually seeing Tesla tank quite a bit and what this means for the market going into tomorrow. But before I begin the devil's information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo and deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed up to 15 free stocks, and the offer ends very soon. Anyways, now let's break down what's going on with the markets. Right now, Tesla's down 6%. It's barely holding the support between 194 and 195. 195 is the level it's trying to hold right now, but it's not looking that great. If we lose this, we're going to be sinking back down towards 190 to 188. So it's looking very weak right now. It's continuing to sink after earnings. And the question is, why is this happening? And how is this going to affect the market going into the future? So I'm recording this video very late. I'm uploading this very late because I was waiting for Tesla's earnings. I was watching it on the sidelines, taking notes about how it went. And I'm not going to go into the full details about it. That's just way too much information. You don't really need to know everything about it. You just need to know the main points. That's why I just want to talk about those. So there were some good things and also some negative things about Tesla, which led it to sell off the way it did. Let's break down Tesla in just a few minutes, then the charts after that. So we had Tesla's earnings today. Going into tomorrow, we have Intel and Visa. We'll be watching to see how they end up looking. Earnings are not going to be as significant from this point on for the rest of the week. Things become more significant starting next week. Now, I also want to add that when it comes to the data coming out for tomorrow, 1 hour before the market opens, we have the GDP numbers coming out. Those are going to be very important for the gauge of the economy and how GDP prices are looking. This is also very important for the Fed's policies. So I'll be watching this very carefully. We also have initial jobless claims coming out at the same time. So watch for initial jobless claims and also the GDP numbers. We'll just see how that goes. On top of that, when it comes to Tesla, let's break down some things. Tesla missed on earnings. Their EPS was a miss, 71 cents adjusted versus the 74-cent expectation. They missed on EPS. Revenue was only 25.17 billion versus 25.6 billion being the expectation. They missed on EPS, they missed on revenue. Unfortunately, Tesla ended up coming just short. So with that being said, it's a little bit negative for Tesla. It's They don't miss all the time, so seeing that happen is just not the best of news for investors. There were some positive things that were announced, such as the fact that the cash flow increased to 29 billion. 15 billion was the net income. Energy storage deployment was up 125%. The Model Y was the best-selling vehicle of any kind in 2023, and other things were actually doing very well, such as the energy generation and energy storage business. So those were some positive things, but other things were not as great for them. So for instance, the revenue actually went up a little bit since their sales tend to increase in Q4. Total revenues also increased slightly, but their adjusted margins were actually a little bit more slim than before. It's not the best of news, especially thanks to the price cuts. Their EPS below expectations despite the increase in sales. And on top of this, we didn't see too much changing. Tesla did not give us any production estimates for the year or anything like that because of the fact that they announced the possibility of a new model that's going to be coming out for the second half of 2025. So with that being said, with them starting production in increasing it and such, they're not expected to be doing anything too crazy. They didn't give us estimates for a lot of things. There's a lot of ambiguity that was basically announced. When you look at their specific numbers, I actually have some notes. I want to just briefly go over just a couple of the things I had. Things just were not as great as what many investors were essentially expecting. Uh, their energy business was doing well, however, but other things were not as great. So let me just pull up my notes and just talk about it, just a couple of things before I switch over. Uh, on top of this, they ended up outpacing growth, highest productivity plants in the USA. So some good things were announced, but Tesla's also heavily dependent on the interest rates. If interest rates start getting cut sooner than expected, this could benefit Tesla, according to Elon Musk. If not, if they remain high for longer, that's going to be a little more bearish for them. There was some talk about how their production may resemble an S curve. So, excuse me, guys, when they start to increase production, it doesn't just increase instantly. It's going to take them time to get ready. So, this could actually slow down production for the year. And there's going to be a risk of that happening this year. The 4680 cell production is ahead of the ramp, but the growth projection will take time to figure out. Once again, lots of ambiguous things were said. Elon Musk also mentioned that AI has a lot of immense capabilities, and he would prefer having 25% of the voting control of Tesla. He still holds the same view. He doesn't want to be a complete totalitarian leader over Tesla, but he wants to basically be able to be overrun if something were to happen, but simultaneously have a good amount of power over it. That way, someone else doesn't, like, with bad views, doesn't get in the way. So that's kind of like his view. Tesla's attempting to reduce costs. That's going to depend on interest rates and such. Free cash flow did drop. Q1 is usually when it drops, but their operating margins reached a bottom around the Q3 period, at least for now. And then we're going to be watching to see what happens with the next gen uh, developments. With the Dojo supercomputer, Musk said that it's a risk. He also said the same thing about Optimus, but he believes that it's going to be worth it. And he also mentioned that Tesla has potential to become the most valuable company on the planet. Besides that, there wasn't really anything that was too crazy, too new. But what was a little bit negative for investors is this news. Tesla not only missed their earnings, but they're warning us that the production growth rate will be notably lower in 2023. So what does this mean? Does this mean they're going to have less sales? No, it doesn't mean that. They're saying the growth rate, the rate at which they're growing, is going to be notably lower. So they may not grow at that 50%, that 35% rate. It might be a little bit less than that, right? Very important to note. All right, so it's a little bit negative for Tesla. They're saying this as a result of what they're trying to do. Musk did hint at more gigafactories to be built to help them keep up with what they want to do. But besides that, there wasn't really enough to help Tesla hold up. There wasn't any crazy piece of news to cause this to run. Instead, with them missing on earnings and warning of production growth rates to be slowing, this was very negative for them. This led to essentially a sell off. So, what do we see for Tesla? 195 is where Tesla's been trying to base at. The last time it bounces around the 194s. We're at the key support right now. If we lose this, we're going to be sinking even lower towards the 190 and 188 area. And eventually, we'll be making our way down to 185. How is this looking? Looks very weak right now. Unfortunately, that's not the best of news. Now, there is a risk of it selling off more, but you want to be very careful. For SPY, it's very flat. I'm going to be looking for a possible bounce because of the GDP numbers that could actually cause a small bounce first before the market continues lower. So this could be a change in trend. We might see them grab liquidity up here first during the pre-market, back up to the 486s to 47 area, and then start sinking this thing back down lower. So a little pop and drop is a real possibility. Tesla may contribute to the downside we're getting, but watch and see if the GDP numbers cause a temporary pop before we drop lower. There is definitely going to be a risk with that, so be very careful. On the QQQ, it's the same thing. Watch and see if we get a temporary pop for a liquidity grab up here in the 427s. They might grab some liquidity before they take this thing back down. So watch that 427 area for resistance. They might pop it back up temporarily and then reject it and might come back down below 424 and eventually 422.5. So a pop and drop is a real possibility for a nice rejection that there is potential for that to pan out. Nvda is looking relatively strong. It's still holding in the 616 area. Might retest this imbalance at 620, then shop around. Might see some sideways price action temporarily as the market's slowing, but look for a little retest of 620 before we trade sideways. Finally, for Aapl was at 195, kind of rejected. It actually got this big rejection. Might come back up to 195, chop around a bit, and then start sinking back down. We've failed to get a clean breakout above 195 so far. We're kind of struggling. We might retest 195 and come back down, so be very careful with that. But with that being said, guys, I want to end the video from here because it's very late right now. I don't want to talk for too long. Uh, Unfortunately, because of Tesla, there could be some downwards pressure for the markets. We might initially get a pump thanks to the GDP numbers and such. Market might try to grab liquidity first as they prepare for a bigger drop. So look for a little pop and drop tomorrow throughout the markets, and know that Tesla is adding an anchor to the market as well. It is what it is, guys. Let's do what you have to do. Thank you all so much for listening. Have a great day. Remain calm, cool, and collected, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you, and peace out.